Welcome to the Pursuit of Manliness podcast, where we are vigorously equipping men to pursue biblical manliness. Men, welcome back to the podcast. I want you to know that the episode that you're going to listen to or watch today is from our 2025 Fall Men's Retreat. During that retreat, we have 4 recorded sessions. We have one at 3:30, one Friday night, one Saturday morning, and one a little bit later on Saturday morning, and I'm going to share one of those with you today. Every year, our Fall Men's Retreat lands around the end of September or the first week of October. In the coming weeks, we should be promoting next year's retreat so you can at least get it on your calendar. Now it's time for today's podcast episode. Actually, I should add that today's podcast episode, the brother speaking is Patrick. He's a good friend of mine. I sent him the audio file before I upload it to you guys, and he and his wife listened to it, said everything sounds good, except please note that when they moved from one state to the next, they were married. Patrick, like a lot of men, we get talking, we sort of forget important details of the story. So they wanted me to tell you that, so now it really is time for today's podcast episode.
Good afternoon, guys. So as Jared said, my name's Patrick. I'm a member of Tribe. I'm one of the point men in Tribe. I've been in Tribe for, 11, 12, 30. Stopped counting at some point. I've been in Tribe a long time. So what I want to talk to you about today, we all are in different places, different stages, different seasons. What I want to talk to you about today is just the gospel and how the gospel is played out in my life. Not to be prideful, not to brag, just in a hope that if you can kind of see how the gospel is played out in my life, maybe it'll help you see how the gospel is played out in your life. Okay? So I want to start. We'll start with scripture. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 1 through 8. Now, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you of the gospel I preached to you, which you received and on which you have taken your stand. By this gospel you are saved, if you hold firmly to the word I preached to you. Otherwise, you have believed in vain. For what I received, I passed on to you as of first importance, that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, that he was buried, that he was raised on the third day according to the Scriptures, and that he appeared to Cephas and then to the 12. After that, he appeared to more than 500 of the brothers and sisters at the same time, most of whom are still living, though some have fallen asleep. Then he appeared to James, then to all the apostles, and last of all, he appeared to me also. So I live just outside of Mobile, Alabama. I'll tell you a little bit about me. Originally from South Louisiana. I always feel bad. People ask me, where are you from? I feel like I got to give you like a 4-point dissertation on where I'm from, right? Because I live in Alabama, but I ain't from there. I'm married, beautiful wife, name's Tanya. We've been married, what year is it? So we've been married like 17 years. We got 3 kids, 2 boys, Will and Jack, 14 and 12. My daughter, Kate, is 9. And they keep us busy. I grew up in South Louisiana. My parents divorced when I was 4 years old. I grew up in a house, predominantly it was me, my mom, my stepdad. I have a half-brother, 9.5 years younger than me. And the way I would say it is I grew up going to church, but I didn't grow up in church. Okay? We went to church on Sundays. I went to a Baptist school Monday through Fridays. We had a Bible class. I had an old King James Version Bible that had more stuff written on the outside of the pages than it was opened, and had creases because I was looking at the inside of the pages. The Bible was just not part of our house that I remember. Now, my mom could come up here and call me a liar in front of all of you, and I would say she is right, but I don't remember it. If we talked about the Bible, it did not leave a mark on me. I did not live my life according to the Scriptures. I just didn't. It was not on my radar. Grew up in South Louisiana. Naturally, I went to college at LSU. I'm 47 years old. You can do the math. I was at LSU when it was a party school, okay? I spent 5 of the best years of my life at LSU. Could have gone to a party every night if I'd wanted to for the duration of that 5 years. I think there were long stretches where I really put that theory to the test. I had more cargo pants and cargo shorts for quarter shot night at the local bar than anybody should rightfully have, okay? It's just what we did. It's just what we did, okay? Lots of drinking, lots of partying, lots of girls. The Lord blessed me that I could do all of that, go to class, and get good grades. So I graduated with a bachelor's degree in May of 2001. I was an athletic trainer when I was at LSU, a student athletic trainer. I got to work with football team, basketball team. I was a water boy, okay? It's a little more to it than that, but for the sake of brevity, I was a water boy. Made good grades, got to go to graduate school, went to the University of Houston for 2 years. I was not mature enough to live in a city like Houston by myself at 22, 23 years old, okay? The habits that I had formed in undergrad followed me. So what does that mean? That meant I still did a lot of partying. I did a lot of drinking, still chasing girls. Except I didn't go to class this time. That's a big part of trying to get a master's degree, is going to class. And so when you stop doing that and you're on scholarship, the inevitability is you no longer are going to be on scholarship, right? So that 0.00 grade point average kicked me out of there real fast for a semester. I then started doing door-to-door sales. Don't ever do door-to-door sales if you can get out of it, okay? Stuck with that for a very little while. Ultimately found myself back home. Found myself back in Baton Rouge, living with my dad and my stepmom. 25 years old, flunked out of grad school, no job, not a penny to my name. And if something would have happened, I would have died, nobody would have known any different about it, quite honestly, other than my parents. I had left no mark, okay? My biggest fear in life had come true. I was a failure. I had fallen flat on my face for the first time, and I had no means to process that, okay? But I learned later in life something that was very appropriate for that time in life, and I pass it along to you. Your life is perfectly designed to get the outcomes you're getting. My life was perfectly designed to fall flat on my face, far away from God, because that's how I was living, okay? If you want different outcomes, you need different processes. When I think back on that time in my life, by the grace of God, recently, our men's group at church, at my local church, has blossomed, okay? It's growing. There actually is one, would be the way to say it. And we're meeting regularly, right? Step one, it exists. Step two, the guys get together. We're at step two. We're getting together. We're reading the word together, okay? One night when I left, just so happened to be scrolling through my phone in a parking lot waiting to pick up my two boys from youth on Wednesday night. And I start scrolling through Instagram, because what else do you do when you don't have anything else to do? You scroll through Instagram, right? And kind of a name of the hour, Joby Martin, a little clip popped up. And in the clip, Joby's telling the story of these guys. It's in reference to Psalm 66:10, where it talks about God refines us like silver, right? And so these guys go to a silversmith, as Joby tells the story. They want to know more about this process of the refinement of silver. They don't tell him that they're Christians. They don't tell him kind of what they're after. They just go to learn. And he tells them, he goes, well, you have to watch it very closely. Any silversmiths in the house? Before I get myself in trouble and I tell this story wrong and I get nobody good, so you can just believe what I tell you. You got to watch the process very closely. And you can't put the silver on the edge of the fire. You got to put it in the middle. And you got to leave it there. So they ask the logical follow-up question, well, how long do you leave it? How do you know when it's done? The smith says, it's done when you can see your reflection in it. And that hit me. Because when I think back on my life, I've lived this, and I know many stories in this room, and I know many of you have lived this too. Men, God has no problem sticking you in the middle of the fire and leaving you there until all of you is burned away. And all that's left is His image in you. And you can fight against that, and the Bible tells us that eventually He'll let you have what it is you want if what you want isn't Him, right? But He's going to put you in the fire eventually. All right, John 16:33, you will have trouble in the world, but rejoice, for I have overcome the world. And so that's where I was put in the fire.
Men, I want to remind you today's podcast is sponsored by Olive Knives, oliveknives.com. This past year at the men's retreat, a number of guys came up to me and said, "Can we see that knife that you're always talking about?" So I let them see it. They took a look at it, and you want to know what when you look at a knife? You want to know about the blade. And they said, "How's it hold up?" I said, I've cut everything. I've cut meat, I've cut cardboard, I've cut whatever. I just decided I'm going to use this. I haven't done nothing to the blade. I haven't hardly even cleaned it. And that's the examination of, does a knife hold up well, is what's the condition of the blade. So I believe this blade is more than sufficient to get you through whatever you're looking to do. So visit oliveknives.com, click the link in today's show notes, use the discount code, save on your next order.
I don't even know how long ago now, 25 years ago, 23 years ago, I was put in the fire. And God was going to leave me there until all of me was burned away. See, I could have made it through that time, but it would have just been me doing it in my head, right? Because that's where I always go, right? I had been successful up in that point in time in life because I did it, because it was me, because I was so good. I'm not good, neither are you. Newsflash, we're not good. Well, as the process of my sanctification began, one of my best friends, I don't know that if he's a believer, I've never had the conversation with him. One of my best friends is used by God. He gets me a job, okay? So I'm back home. He gets me a job working at a physical therapy clinic, doing a job I could have done when I was in high school, but now I'm doing it with a bachelor's degree, okay? Shortly after I start working there, you get to know the people that you work with. Shortly after I start working there, one of the other guys, he goes, "Hey, I've got another opportunity for you. On Saturday nights, if you're willing, I work security at a nightclub in New Orleans, and we need somebody to just kind of help out. Pay you in cash. All you got to do is check IDs at the door. You're good." I wasn't going to church, right? I wasn't reading the Bible. I wasn't moving any closer to God. So what did it matter to me if I worked a job all night on Saturday night that I didn't get off until 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, I had to drive an hour and a half home and just slept? I wasn't missing anything, right? I wasn't filling that time with anything good. So I took the job. I worked there for several years, made a whole lot of money, cash, never filled out a W-4. And the idea was I was going to take this job and save this money because I was going to go to physical therapy school. I was going to go try to actually make something of myself. Not one penny of that money went to physical therapy school, I'm here to tell you. Not one penny. About a year and a half after I start working there, I walk in one afternoon, and there's a new girl. That new girl is now my wife. It didn't start that way. My wife's about a year and a half younger than me. She was a physical therapist, so she already had her doctorate degree. She had taken the direct route. We were talking this morning in Bible study about the Exodus, right? God could have gotten them from Egypt to the Promised Land in 11 days, but he knew if he got them there that fast, they would fall away from the challenges that would face them, so he had to take them the long route. My wife was able to take the 11-day course. I had to take the long route, right? God knows you, man. He knows which course you need. He knew which one I needed. So I meet Tanya. We do not hit it off. She does not like me at first. I've used stronger words. She denies them. I'll say she's right, okay? We did not hit it off. I was arrogant. I thought I knew a whole lot more than I did. And quite frankly, my pride had been hurt. I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing. I should have been long past, right? But because of my own choices and decisions, this is where I was. And I think part of me wanted to prove that there was something more there. The only problem is at the time, there wasn't much more there. I had nothing to offer her. Nothing. I had no spiritual leadership. I had no financial stability. I had no idea what it meant to be a man. I had zero to offer her. And yet still, somehow, over time, the ice thawed. And the only answer for that is God. The only answer for that is God. We started dating. She started working there in 2004. We started dating spring 2005. Over time, as is with anybody that you date, you start to meet their friends and their family. And the more people I met, that Tanya had affiliated with, the more people I met that I could see Jesus in. All right? The more people affiliated with me that she met, the more she could understand how I got to be such a mess. I had nothing to offer her, right? She was going to church every Sunday morning. Told you I wasn't going to church. I was going to the bar. Right now I was working. I was still going to the bar. Actually, it wasn't even a bar. It was a club. Techno music, all night loud lights, craziness. Don't ever do that. But I can tell you as I stand here today, not a whole man, not a holy man by any means, but a man further along in sanctification than I was when that story started. The biggest tool God has used in my life towards sanctification has been my marriage. Right? I don't know about you, but for me, that's been the biggest tool. If you're going to try to be a biblical husband, it will make you more holy. It will make you more humble. There's no other way around it. Right? It can only go that way. Because what does the Bible tell us to do? The Bible tells us we have to sacrifice all of ourselves to do it well. And in some days I do that. A lot of days I still struggle. By the grace of God, I keep getting up every morning, still married, and I get to try again.
Years ago, my daughter asked me, Dad, how many guys do you want in Tribe? And I said, all of them. There's two reasons for that. One, I want you all in Tribe. I want to get to know you. I want to bring you into this community that has been so beneficial to me and so many other guys. And the second thing is because there are people in your life who depend on you to get this right. Those aren't just words. That's the reality. And I have heard from so many men through the years. We're getting ready to start our 17th session. I've heard from so many men through the years who have said, my wife is starting to say this about me. I've gone to some men's retreats where guys from Tribe have invited me to come in, and guys in their church are bragging on them, the difference they see in them. It's not really about Tribe. It's definitely not about me. It's about what this person is doing. They're taking the things that we're talking about and they're implementing them into their life, into their home, into their marriage, and into their church. And people are starting to take notice. So men, I want to encourage you, click the link in the show notes, secure your spot today.
2 Corinthians 3:18, and we all with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. Sanctification is not a thing that happens, right? Sanctification is a process that we undergo over time, slowly, one degree of glory to another at a time. It's a step-by-step process. The steps aren't the same for you as they are for me, as they are for him. But it is a step-by-step process. It looks different. Some of us go through some of the steps quicker than others do. But it's a step-by-step process. And I followed the steps. Shortly after we started dating, within a couple years, I finally got accepted to go to physical therapy school. Now, I should say I applied to 2 physical therapy schools. I had to overnight 2 physical therapy school applications because I waited till the last minute to do it. Okay? 1 degree at a time. Tanya agreed to move with me to Mobile, much to her father's amazement and consternation. I don't blame him. I have a daughter who's 9. I know there's some other girl dads in here. I promise you, when your daughter gets to be 22, 23, 24 years old, and if she ever tells you she's moving 3 hours away with a guy like I was then, you're not going to be real happy about it either. Neither would I, okay? My daughter deserves better than what I was, okay? But she did it. Something told her there was something else there. All right, that something could only have been the Holy Spirit. So we moved to Mobile. I get into physical therapy school. We get married in 2008, graduate from school in 2009. We're expecting our first child in 2010. She tells me she's pregnant the day after we get back from our first international mission trip. We did a week-long mission trip to Guatemala. But before she moved, she said, you got to promise me something. If I'm coming with you and we're doing this, you're going to go to church. Yes, ma'am. I promise. It starts with a commitment, guys. For me, it started with a commitment, right? It starts with a commitment and an ongoing process of making choices. You got to make choices anyway. Every day, all day, you may as well make good ones. The best choice for me was to say, yes, ma'am, I'll go to church with you. And little by little, life starts to change. As you move closer to Jesus, right, it's not that he moves closer to you, you just see him more. And he seeps into you. He starts to fill you. So we start going to church, we get married, you start getting involved in things, right? You get involved in Sunday school class. I never went to Sunday school when I was a kid. Start serving. We used to serve at a homeless shelter for breakfast in the morning, some on the weekends. You get involved in what the church is doing. You just grow closer to God, step by step, little by little. It's almost imperceptible at times, right? But you just keep moving forward. Fast forward 13 years, 2.5 years ago, March, my wife's diagnosed with breast cancer. So now, I had nothing to offer her years ago, right? But through the process of sanctification, now we find ourselves having some really hard conversations. If you've ever been there, you know it, right? She decides she's going to have the kind of surgery she's going to have a double mastectomy, and they're going to do reconstruction all at the same time. So it's a big deal. She's going to be in surgery for a while, okay? When I first see her after surgery, like the color's off, she's green, body's wrapped from shoulders to waist, like she's been cut open, moved around, sewn back together. She got 4 drains, 2 out of her chest, 2 out of her sides. Couldn't get out of bed by herself. Couldn't get out of a chair by herself. Couldn't get dressed by herself. She couldn't do anything on her own. It was all on me. So now the roles had been completely reversed, right? In 15 years, we'd gone from I had nothing to offer her to, for that very short period of time, she really didn't have much to offer me back. She couldn't do anything. She just hurt too much. There's too much recovery going on. And it's only through the grace of Jesus, through the cross, that we were able to make it that far. And so Scott Toyne referenced a verse last night, and it got me thinking. Romans 8:18, for I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing to the glory that is going to be revealed in us. All right, from one degree of glory to the next, one degree at a time. And eventually, you're unrecognizable, and you're going a completely different direction than you were. And there's a glory to be revealed in all of us. All right, there's a glory waiting for all of us when we get to the Father. And so I think about Jesus on the cross, arms spread wide, nailed to a tree. It's just the beginning of the embrace, guys. His arms are spread wide, waiting to give you a hug. All right, but I think about this picture, and I think about how far it is from one hand to the other. And that's how far away from Jesus I lived most of my life. And yet, slowly over time, those hands got closer. We just moved closer together and closer together. And now, if I've heard this, I'm sure you've heard this. All right, we're told that we're, as Christians, to walk in relationship with God, right? Well, if we start here, what does relationship with God look like? Well, you just get closer, right? You just get closer. And eventually you come together. And you're walking hand in hand with the Creator. Except that I don't think it ends there. I think that's just another step. Because here, I can still see where I end and Jesus begins. Here, I can still be pulled apart pretty easy. Right here, we're just touching. But in the garden, the night of his arrest, Jesus prays, I pray not only for these, but also for those who believe in me through their word. May they all be one, as you, Father, are in me and I am in you. May they also be in us, so that the world may believe you sent me. Relationship with Jesus is just part of the way to the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal isn't relationship. The ultimate goal is union. Union with the Father. Now you can't see where you end and he begins. All right? It's overlapping. We occupy the same space because he is us and we are him. We are made in his image to live fully every day in obedience to his word. Journey's not a short one. Wasn't a short one for me. Maybe for you it was short. Maybe for you, you started on third base as it relates to getting home. I pray that when my boys are old enough to be on this stage giving their testimony, it takes about 2 minutes because they were on third base and there's not much to tell. I don't want my kids to have a grimy testimony. I'm happy if it's boring. If they have a boring testimony, I did something right. If your kids have a boring testimony, you did something right. The journey is not short for me, for guys like me. It's long, right? And I'm not very smart, so I had to figure out some things along the way because it wasn't all taught to me. One of the biggest lessons I've learned: consistent beats complex every day of the week. All right? Look, I go out in my backswing every morning at 5 a.m., 10 after, quarter after. Right? And I'm carrying a theological library with me most mornings, it feels like, right? Got 2 Bibles, I got an iPad, I got a journal, if not 2 journals, I've got a commentary, I've got a cup of coffee, I've got a sweatshirt. Like it's like I'm moving, almost, right? It doesn't have to be that complex. It certainly didn't start that way for me. First time I did a 7-day reading plan on the Bible app, it took me 3 months to finish it. Okay? It doesn't start, you don't start at the finish line. But you do have to start, and you do have to keep going. Consistent beats complex every day of the week. The other, I preach myself this every day. Simple, not easy. Guys, the Bible's simple. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. Love your neighbor as yourself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's simple. It isn't easy. It's hard. Right? There's denial of self. There's long-term obedience. There's saying no to a lot of fun things, right? Because you've got to be sacrificial in your love for others. It's simple, not easy. And so if I could just leave you with one thing, I'm right at 25 minutes, so Jared can get off my back. If I can leave you with one thing, the goal isn't this. This is just a step along the way. The goal is this. And it's waiting for all of us if you'll just keep going. Amen. Thanks, guys.
Thank you again for tuning into the Pursuit of Manliness podcast. Please like, comment, and share the show. Also, if you would leave an iTunes review, that would be greatly appreciated. And remember, keep pursuing biblical manliness.